Hi, I'm Anitha from Chennai, India, and I got admitted into Ivey with a scholarship of 45,000 Canadian dollars, working with Samix Consulting with a GRE score of 321.
Hi everyone, I'm Samriddhi and I'm an admissions consultant with Samweeks Consulting. And today I am with one of my clients for last year, Anitha Ilangovan, and we worked on her MBA applications and now she has great admits. Anitha, do you want to start off?
Yeah, it was really great working with Sam Weeks Consulting and Samriddhi. So I'm Anitha Elangovan. I'm basically from Chennai, India, and I would like to start with telling my educational background. I did my bachelor's and master's in computer science engineering. And after my bachelor's, I worked as an associate software engineer in Accenture, Chennai. My work nature was mostly about a combination of a development, configuration, and testing of a software product in a customer relationship portal for a telecom industry. After working for about 1 year, I did my master's, and then post-master's, I worked as a assistant professor in an engineering college where I taught core computer science subjects for undergraduate engineering students. In addition to teaching, I played some other roles like project guide, mentor, student counselor, and faculty coordinator for three student chapters, which really helped me showcase my leadership abilities. And after 5 years working as an assistant professor, due to personal reasons, I quit my job and started my own independent coaching, where I provided personalized coaching and online coaching for high school and engineering students. I took this time to test out few things like creating my own foundational program for students particularly interested in compiler design and software engineering. And then I decided it was my time to make a career transition into the business world. And I thought MBA would be a great starting point making that career transition. And I started my journey towards MBA by giving a GRE exam and scored about 321. And that's how my journey started for an MBA.
All right. So Anitha, I mean, um, it's interesting that you kind of had a career trajectory as a professor and you were doing so well in your profession, and you had to kind of quit and you started on your own. How do you think that reflected in your MBA applications?
I'd say when working as an assistant professor, I was involved in guiding final year students for their projects and doing my own research in the area of AI, ML, and data science too. Uh, so I developed a deep interest in those areas and started pursuing a postgraduate program in data science and business analytics while I was working as an assistant professor itself. And that program made me realize the importance of the business perspective for every technological development that comes into the world. So I became very passionate about working at the intersection of business and technology, and I decided to make a career transition at that point of time. But the realization came back at 2020 itself, but the COVID pandemic hit that put a great halt on my path towards my MBA at that time. And then I got married. And once I sorted things out with my family, about letting them know about my passion and ambition to learn MBA, now with the help of my husband and other family members, I have started my journey towards the MBA successfully.
Okay, that's perfect, right? So, I mean, this also brings me to a point where I think you're using your MBA to make a pivot, right? Maybe
Yeah.
moving like away from education directly as like a educator yourself towards a different role in the role of a program manager or a product manager. So, how did you decide you want to make this career pivot?
Very interesting question, and I would speak a lot about that because that was one of the most challenging thing I have ever faced with you in this application process. My post MBA goal is to become a product manager in an edtech field, and then associate with higher education industry in India to redesign the learning experience of engineering students. In this application process, I learned that identifying your post MBA goal is one of the most important factors, and this didn't happen in a day. Um, because when I started working with you, and during our introductory or brainstorming session, I initially let you know that my idea or post MBA goal was to become a data analytic consultant in the first place, because I was interested, and my research was mostly related to AI, ML, and data analysis. But you made me realize that a person can have n number of interests, and not every interest will be very impactful for the MBA application process. And you also made me realize it should clearly align with my interest, passion, and the ambition towards pursuing this MBA program, and should well connected with the post MBA goal too.
All right. So now that also brings me to a question, which is, how did you identify who's the right consultant for you, to be a part of your MBA application journey?
So I was a first ever master graduate in my immediate family. So I had little support from my family members. And myself and my husband has started looking out for consultants through internet, social media, like LinkedIn and Google reviews. And we were checking the reviews and ratings of every other consultants, because we were only the master graduate, and we did not have great help with my other family members to get reviews about who the consultants are and how they would work like. And so we were like focused on the internet for every for the reviews of the consultant. And even before working with Sam Weeks Consulting, I reached out to a few other consultants too, but it did not work out. It was not really the case with Samriddhi and the Sam Weeks Consulting. Um, you made me really feel comfortable, and um, gave me every space to share my ideas. Like you were never judgmental about things, and very respectful towards every ideas I shared with you. So that's how the connect happened with Sam Wicks and Samriddhi especially.
Okay. And I mean, I remember that you worked with somebody else before you actually signed up with us. And
Yeah,
probably, if I'm not wrong, like you got to know of us first and you did not come across my profile. So you kind of
yeah,
you know, working with Sam probably will not be very feasible for you with what you had in mind. And you kind of did not go ahead with like booking a free chat with us, and you hired somebody else who kind of, had a reputable position within the space. And then you decided that, like after working with them, you decided that, you want to work with Sam Weeks Consulting. So how would you compare your experience with the other consultancy versus, let's say, what made you decide that, even after signing up with them, paying them up, you should revise your decision and kind of, go ahead and work with us?
okay. Uh, Firstly, when I started reviewing a consultant and choosing them, initially I came with Samvix itself. Initially, I was about to choose Samvix, but the price was way higher than which I could afford for Samvix consulting. So we decided to choose some other one based on the geographical location, and I thought we would connect more, and our ideas would be. They will be able to understand and reflect upon our ideas soon, but that really didn't work out. Then I decided that it's okay. We'd reach out to Sam again. Even I made some financial adjustment. I made up my mind to do some financial adjustments, and I reached out to Sam Weeks. Let's see. And the initial introductory session, the free session itself, I felt very comfortable in discussing with Sam Weeks itself. He was able to clearly listen and reflect to my ideas. I really liked his personality of viewing my thoughts, my college selection ideas and the criteria I looked into. And at that moment itself, I thought it would be a good experience working with Sambix Consulting. And I let Sam know that I have some financial constraints, and that's when he said about you, Samriddhi, and I let him know that there were very few reviews for Samriddhi in the website, so I was not able to think about her or analyze on how we will be able to connect or not. And I requested Sam to even add up some reviews to her so that it will be useful for others like me, because she works in India, and I would not have great financial constraints of working with Samriddhi. So that was a great introductory session, and that's where I got introduced to you. And from there was no look back at all. You were really awesome, and I always feel that we as a person should never demean or devalue someone else's struggle, because we do not know what that person has come across. And in that understanding, Samriddhi and I were on the same page right from the first introductory sessions. And that made me get very connected with you. And you are very professional. And sometimes I even speak irrelevant things during our brainstorming sessions. And you would never shut me out immediately or criticize me on things like that. You'd listen patiently, and you'd provide me some examples or narrations on how I should think on which perspective, and you would correctly pull me back on track. And you would also pick pieces of words from my narration itself, and you would ask me to think on that perspective. From that, I would remember some other life experiences which would be more impactful than the one I have shared previously. That listening ability of yours, the space and time you have provided me, I would definitely say that made this application an impactful one, I would say.
That's really, really kind of you. And I think what worked, while we were working together, I remember whatever I would want you to think about, reflect on, write about, you never let me down. You always came to our conversations, our chats, prepared with everything ready, and with your own set of ideas. And to be honest, from day one itself, you had interesting ideas. You were already in the mode of thinking about what you want to say, or how you want to represent yourself. All it needed was for both of us to sit back, reflect on those different experiences. Like, you worked with Accenture, you worked as a professor. Right now, at the time when we started working, you were an independent consultant, right? So different experiences on this front. And then on your extracurricular part, you had done multiple things while you were in your undergrad. I remember you had organized some events, you were a part of certain study groups, you had even started a volunteering organization within your college. And then when you were a professor yourself, there were so many initiatives that you had started. So there was so much to kind of think about and see how those different dots are kind of connecting in your profile to see what should be your MBA application narrative. And I think it brings me to my next question, which is, if you were to summarize, how would you summarize your MBA application narrative?
Initially, I believed it to be like the college selection criteria process based on my scores, college shortlisting based on my scores, and then have a 1 hour brainstorming session. Then I would write my essays, putting together the ideas which we discussed, and when you will be reviewing it. And once, and if selected for interviews, you would be providing my support for interview preparation. This was my expectation when reaching to you. But it's lot more than that. It's all about how much we dig deep and explore different ideas. And you made me realize what to showcase and how to do it in a more impactful way and make it aligned with my ambition for pursuing the MBA goal and get connected well towards my post MBA goal. I would say the brainstorming sessions were one of the most exciting and challenging part during the entire application process. I initially thought I would have a 1 hour brainstorming session, but it was never the case with Samriddhi. I actually don't remember. I think it is actually more than 15 hours would be, if I'm not wrong. We would have 1 hour sessions on alternative days, but you never let me break because of the timeline. You would let me speak my ideas throughout. It would sometimes go to extend to 2 hours also, but you never put a break because just the clock were past 60 minutes from the starting. Even though I had documented all my ideas, like my interests, passion, professional activities, leadership activities, failures, transition well in advance, as you asked. But you took your time to review everything and discuss it vocally along with me to stay in the same page and make the understanding from ourselves. And I really liked that part. And the brainstorming, after just the brainstorming session, after all those 15 hours, I suppose, um, you made me realize and gave me a clear picture of how my MBA application should look like, just from my past and present life events and how I wish to and what I wish to do in the future. No extra additions or insertion or to make our application fanciful. Just the life events of mine. And I really liked that part of my application process. And I would say I relived my 30 years back again, exploring, digging deep into my own life stories. And I definitely won't forget it in my lifetime again. And it would be a great foundation for hopefully the future years to come in my life. That was great working with you to relive my own life events.
So yeah, I mean, that's interesting because all this brainstorming, it helped us align your MBA application narrative, right? Which was um, coming from an underprivileged background from India. You had limited access to education, right? And you kind of went on to do your bachelor's, kind of standing your ground and doing your master's, and then, like, taking on the role of a professor. And I think one of the most unique stories that I believe you would also agree that we utilized in your essays was about a student you mentored in one of the groups that you had established, and mentoring her, how that experience made you reflect and improve on the system of education, and then how you implemented that within your class, stood up to your your senior leadership, stood up to like professors, and went on to implement it, execute it well, and increase the pass percentages, the learning takeaways of the students from 75% to 90%, right? So it helped us show your leadership in a way that you'd be seen as one of the education industry leaders in India, right? And I think you were initially, I would say, you were probably not so aware as to what power these stories hold, right? And I think that was one of the key things, key turning points in our MBA application journey. What would you say?
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, really. I really working with you. I really understand certain impactful stories of my own life because nobody has ever evaluated my life events or there was no such situations occurred, and even I myself haven't realized the value of the path I have traveled so far and the activities I have done so far. The reliving thing again, the reliving of all my life events and comparing it, analyzing it now, it's a different perspective of how I come across. You made me realize that such things are very valuable and I should be very proud of it. And I'm very thankful for you for making me realize that I have done things and I should take those memories forward in my future.
Yeah, I mean, that's really crucial, right? And I mean, I think you would again agree that, your application was a authentic and unique reflection of your personal experiences. And I think that is the most impactful recipe behind a successful MBA application, because your essays will only look impactful and authentic when your stories, your personal stories and anecdotes come to the forefront and represent the skills you bring to the table and the experiences you've had and the enthusiasm that you bring to the table to make it a really impactful story. And that also means that you got great admits, you got into Queen Smith, I believe, you got into Ivy, you got into IE Business School, and somewhere or the other, one thing that I also want to ask you about is there was a key moment in our application process where we decided to pivot from independent coaching as a current experience to entrepreneurship. What would you have to say?
Yeah, really. Yeah, really. First, I started when we started applying to B schools. I showcased myself as an independent coach. I provide some personalized and online coaching for engineering high school students, providing a foundational program for certain students, helping them in mock interviews and mm, training them for hackathons to help their job opportunities too. But it was you that made me realize and positioned me as a solopreneurship applicant, and also helped me in my business development activities and marketing activities too, I would say. And I certainly believe that was the highest point in our application process, which made my application stronger than ever. That was a great masterstroke.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, one of the key things is when you are a solopreneur or a freelancer or an independent coach, you have to make your business look like a business, right? You can't just have let's say a Fiverr account, or you can't just have like a freelancer account. You need to convert that into a entrepreneurship stint. You need to show through your resume, through your application, the business skills you hold, right? I remember that you had set up accounts, you had set up a website, you had set up a LinkedIn account, you had put processes in place. You also brought in some people as freelancers to outsource certain parts of your business, right? And when all of that translated well as a story, as a part of your entrepreneurial journey, right, that made a huge impact in your application, and that kind of showed also with the admits and the scholarships you got. So tell us, what all admits do you have and how much scholarship did you receive?
So starting with, I received offer from Queen Smith with a Dean scholarship of about 50,000 Canadian dollars, and then Ivy's Forté Fellowship for about 45,000 Canadian dollars, and IE Business School with Women in STEM scholarship worth of 12,500 euros. These were
That,
my three admits.
that's amazing. And which school have you decided to join?
That was more challenging, another challenging part for me. And great Sam Weeks and you have provided me a helping hand in deciding and finalizing the college. Initially, I was inclined towards Ivy, but I liked IE too because of its ranking, as it ranks in top 22 globally. Uh, when I started this application process, I had an ambition of going to one of the top 25 colleges globally, and IE perfectly fits in top 22 and great college, great school to study. So I was a little bit confused because as many consultants I have reached out to before coming to you, they said like I was not a worthy candidate to even try for top 50. So attaining this top 22, it really hit me, and I was very keen to go to IE Business School, even though I got a great admit and scholarship from Ivy. But when I discussed with you and some weeks regarding my ideas and finalizing the college, it was you people gave me a clear picture on how to decide and finalize the college. So the two main things which you asked me to consider was my post MBA locations. and the scholarship I received. So I prefer to be in Canada as my family is also intent to move towards Canada in a while. So that makes Ivy a best choice. And then the Forté Fellowship scholarship, which is very respectable and recognizable scholarship all over the world. And I was also very passionate about supporting women in technology and growing along with them. So these two categories made me identify my correct college, which I wish to go for. And thanks to Sam Weeks Consulting for that.
That's great. Amazing, right? Um, I think I also want to ask you about like interviews. I remember the minute you started getting your interview invites, you were really worried and you were really anxious.
Yeah.
And from there, you went on to do such great interviews. So, how do you think MBA interviews differ from job interviews?
Uh, I was very anxious about these attending interviews because it was like it was like before 7 years I have given my interview, and coming back to again that interview phase made me really anxious about how well I would do that. And but you people made me feel in a quite comfortable place because of the preparations you have provided, and you have asked me not to think about the end goal. Just look into the process, just focus on the process. And you also provided me great mock interviews on how I should uh, prepare things up, and that really helped me a lot to crack, I guess, 3 out of 4 interviews I have attended. And thanks to you for that. And I believe that the job interviews are literally very different from MBA interviews, as you said. I think job interviews are mostly technical and skill based interviews. What are your technical knowledge, and um, how you are going to do things in a more technical perspective, and your entire skills are based on your educational background alone and even work experiences, I would say. But your MBA interviews are, it's entirely different from your job interviews. Like it has a mix of your personal and professional achievements too. Also, your life events plays a major important role in your MBA interviews. You should reflect upon your interest, passion, and ideas, and make it well aligned with your ambition towards the program and your post MBA goals clearly. So that is what they expect from you, and how well your interest. Sorry, what are your interests and passion in the past, and how you have worked towards it, and how you have why you want to make a transition towards this program, and how do you want to make it, and what you want to do next of I mean post MBA. So it should be well aligned, and you people have prepped me greatly to showcase my thoughts in a clear manner to crack all those interviews.
That's amazing, right? And the first interview you got was it Ivy?
No, it was Owen.
Owen, right? And then you
Yeah.
yeah, and then you got next was Ivy, right?
Next was IEB and then IE.
Yeah. And I think I remember once when we connected post your IE interview, you were like IE interview was such a smooth ride for you.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I got placed. I got offer into Ivy, and even I paid my deposit amount too. So I was really chilled about, and I was even waitlisted in Owen, and I was literally chilled about applying to IE and getting an interview invite for IE. I even didn't prepare for an IE interview. I suppose I believe that for IE, I never slept. I never slept the day before, but it was like in IE, I never prepared just before 1 hour of the interview, I just revised, just gave a glance of our documentation and just went straight into IE's interview. It was one of the toughest interviews, and the questions I have faced about for comparing all those four interviews. But I was really able to crack it very well with great confidence too, I would say. I was never afraid or doubtful of any questions. They were like something got into my mind, which you told, like don't think about don't think about evaluating your answers at that point. Let it be correct or wrong. Just showcase your ideas. Let your mind speak. And that really helped me. And even I didn't answer one question in that IE, but I have answered all other questions for about 45 minutes. It really was a smooth ride, I would say, even facing the difficult and challenging questions of all the interviews.
That's amazing, right? So before we go, one of the last questions for you today is, what advice would you give to other candidates who are targeting round one applications this year?
Okay. So be ready to explore your life events to the fullest, and make sure don't just focus on your professional achievements alone. Focus on your personal interests and struggles you have overcome, that values too. And make sure your interests and passion gets aligned with the ambition towards reaching the MBA program and your post MBA goal too. And if you wish to choose your consultant, choose it wisely. And don't just focus on any one of the factors alone, just like gender, geographic location, or someone who went to top school would take you to also. But speak with them, understand their personality, and analyze their listening ability and how they reflect on your ideas. That would really help you to choose your consultants. And I would also say that never expect someone to write your essays. There is no better storyteller than you to represent your story in a more impactful way. And never settle for anything less just because your score is not on par with other candidates who apply to the same school, because they're going to have a holistic approach on your educational background, the failures, how you overcame it, and your work experience, your communication skills, your problem solving ability, which you showcased, your leadership abilities, and also your GRE or GMAT score. It is going to be a holistic approach. So never settle for anything less than what you deserve. So this would be my idea for you people.
That's amazing, right? Perfect. All right. So thank you so much, Anitha, for joining me here today. It was really nice chatting with you again. And I think finally the thing that you mentioned to Sam, finally Samriddhi will have some testimonial out there. So that
Yeah.
like you find something to kind of know about me. And it was great to connect and keep in touch and take care.
Sure, Samriddhi. It was really great working with you too, and I wish you become a life coach too. And sooner or later, that would really help people like me to explore their life events in a more different perspective. And thanks for making me realize to relive, and also making me relive my all the life impactful life moments. Thank you so much, and thank you for connecting today to record my testimonial.
All the really, really best for your MBA. I hope you achieve what you've set out for and keep in touch. Take care. Bye.
Sure. Bye.